have adrenaline. Adrenaline.
Adrenaline.
Yeah, me and Chewy started off writing this one with our friends John and Corey, and we wrote it in a little studio. Where was it again? It was north somewhere, near Ali Pali. And we just sort of like got in the room and just like chatted away. And for the first like few hours, we're literally just chatting, got some beers. I think we ended up probably drinking like 6 pints each, didn't we, that session? And then we were just mucking about. Like we weren't even like trying to actually like write any songs, and it just sort of happened, didn't it? It was really interesting being in a room with 2 people that we'd never written songs with before as well. You know, it was just a totally different experience. But
yeah, I think the feeling sort of came about of we were playing sort of the verse with like this acoustic guitar riff, and then we sort of picked a drum beat, like a big swaggery drum beat that sort of like marches on. And then after putting some sort of bass lines and guitar lines to it, it sort of gave us that feeling of like adrenaline and the feeling of moving. And even though the song itself isn't like a fast song or a fast tempo, it sort of gave you that feeling of like that amped up feeling before like you're nervous about doing something or performing, or I don't know, imagine how like a footballer or a boxer feels before a game or a fight or something like that. And yeah, we sort of took that feeling there, and then that's sort of where we sort of went into like lyrics and words and things like that, and we formed sort of like the basis of this song that just felt really big. And we thought it lent itself to sort of like adverts and that sort of feeling, like a really like syncable and heavy song. And then yeah, took it to the guys and everyone got stuck.
It was just it was just the verse and the chorus as well when we came out with it as well, wasn't it? We were just like, yeah, like we wanted to come up with the middle eight bridge idea all together, but sort of had an idea for it, didn't we? But we had the song for like 2 years before we even started attacking it for a band. Like
I remember hearing it at like a Reading festival. I remember being on the tour bus after playing.
Oh yeah,
it was after. It was. I think it was on. Was it when we were doing the album tour, the 6 album tour, and the Take Over the Colours tour? And we had a few days off at home before we had to finish the last leg. And I remember you coming back and being like, oh, you know, not really been at home, been in the studio writing a song with some cool dudes we just met, you know, like bearing in mind that Corey came to our show as a youngster, and he's got this fan photo of him with you and me, Matt.
Yeah, so funny.
And he said to us, I'm going to write a song with you guys one day, I'm going to write a song with you guys one day.
And he did.
And lo and behold, like fast forward 10 years later, and it's actually happened. And like, that's like, I find that so bizarre in the world that somebody was a fan that's become a songwriter has now been part of our journey as well. And
yeah, no, it's absolutely magic when that sort of thing happens, isn't it?
It was really fun, obviously, getting us all together as well, like in the studio in Thailand, writing that middle eight, because like we all sort of put on our instruments and in a live sort of way just hashed out this really heavy middle eight, and it's just a really fun part of the song to write all together.
The best.
Yeah, I think it's one of the. Yeah. It's one of the best parts of the album, I think, is that middle eight. Like when that tempo picks up and it sort of has a completely different feel, and it goes to that sort of really heavy part, I think, you know, and drops back down to the sort of super close vocal. Yeah, I think it's just such an energetic play. Sort of that's what kind of ties the song back into the rest of the album for me, is that part. And I think, well, it's already come out as a single and as streaming, and so far it seems to be quite a fan favourite. So definitely a big song, very euphoric again. You know, I think we were always sort of thinking of live and how these kind of tracks would sound live, weren't we? So I think it's one that's going to be a good one.
You know, it was the first song recorded in Thailand, and the adrenaline did kick in, especially when we were writing this bridge section as well, because it was the excitement of being in this amazing studio on the other side of the world. That section of the song, I think, caught the initial moment of us going, holy shit, we're in Thailand making a record. And I think that's
it was one of those little love stories as well, like when you get put on the spot to write a part in that moment, and it's like you're in this big fancy studio without a part currently existing, and you all go in and it's like this is going to go one of two ways. Like it's either going to come really easily, or it's going to be something we're going to be still working on in a couple of weeks
literally.
Time. But like luckily it was one of those ones that everyone was in the right frame of mind, and within sort of half an hour, it was like we had this epic piece.
Well, it was literally like, what key are we in?
Okay,
we're in that key. All right, well, let's try fuck around with this then. 20 minutes later,
Professional musicians.
Well, it's only taken us 7 albums to learn key signatures and scales.
I still recall you keep asking me, Max, what key's this in?
Yeah,
what key's this in?
Well, we only need one of us to know.
Waste of time, that's all known.
I still don't know.
I don't either. I just go on the feeling, guys, because I'm, like a really
Vibe.
Oh, vibe. So, after adrenaline comes voice notes.
It does. It's true.
It's another Max Hellier gem. This song was quite a challenge in the studio, actually, wasn't it? It took us a while to sort of get there with how it is now. And I remember sort of first thoughts just hearing this like really mean riff with some cool electronics. And yeah, that just being really exciting. And it was one of those, similar to Nice to Me, it was one of those sort of big heavy single note riffs without necessarily being like really, really heavy. And yeah, I was excited to work on it. And yeah, it was a tough challenge for us all, I think, to get through and get where we are now with it.
Yeah, the way you guys recorded the guitars, I remember being really interesting. The fact is, they're almost like call and response and like panned slightly differently. Max, you want to go into that a bit?
Yeah, well, the original riff from the demo that I created in this room again was just, it was a single note riff kind of bass song, and it just kind of went the whole way through. It was like there was like, it was just constant. And I think like you were saying, Chew, it was a mean riff, and I think there was excitement behind it. But when it came down to recording it entirely, and we did the recording of that version, I think we all just kind of sat back and was like, it sounds a bit crap. Like, I remember sitting there being like, generally pissed off at myself, being like, this is shit. Why have I put this to the table of songs that we should record? Because it's not matching the level of everything else that we've done. And
but then we had the idea of the riff being on the bass and the guitars doing like the sort of cut up Digitech whammy sort of style pedal thingy that you use.
2 weeks to get there. I remember we recorded it. It was a constant battle after recording the song. It was like, all right, Austin, let's chip away at voice notes again. Let's keep going at it. Let's keep doing it. And it was like, we tried different variations. We went back to the original version. It was just like, we're never going to have a breakthrough. And then, like you were saying, Matt, it was get the bass to play, because the bass was playing the riff all the way through. And it was like, it was more looked at, the only way I could describe it is more looked at like old school hip hop scratch battles, when like there's two turntables next to each other and one person's scratching and then the next person does a bit of scratch afterwards. And then that idea of being like, well, if me and Chewy kind of bounce back and forth between what we're playing, so if I go duh duh and then Chewy kind of takes over, it felt like an old school rap scratch battle, which I thought was a unique way of approaching this song.
We almost played a lot of the guitars were sort of made or played to sort of act as synths, really, weren't they? So like a lot of my parts on the song are I'm not necessarily like fretting and playing notes. I'm like on a kill switch, sort of a la Tom Morello, sort of stuttering notes and making it a bit more DJ and synthesizer-y like. And I think that was sort of the breakthrough moment, wasn't it? Where everyone was suddenly like, oh, I get it, it makes sense. Because before, two guitars trying to play traditionally that one riff together or two different parts together was just crowding all the space, and it just really wasn't allowing the sort of song to breathe and go where we wanted to go.
The idea came from just a bit of a groove, and I think you really emulated that down on the drums. And you know, sometimes the best things is just more about the groove, not actually the part you're playing. You were the backbone of the song, which I think allowed us to kind of get a bit more imaginative on how we were presenting the idea.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you didn't do like just some big old fucking beat on the chorus. Like the fact like, it's quite tight and quite closed, it's like gives it that, for me, it adds to that
It's kind of been a bit of a theme to the whole record. Do you know what the word is, man?
Contemporary, man.
Contemporary.
Yeah, it's kind of been a theme of like the whole record really doing that. There's not really a part where I'm sort of playing like those big open kind of traditional rock sort of chorus drums, I suppose. It's
like a break
very
beat.
much, yeah, it's very much been focused, and that's how like me and Dan Austin like to make the beats. Is like we like to sort of create these grooves and these like breakbeat kind of feels. So I think that kind of makes it instantly sound a little bit more contemporary. So then allows sort of, you know, you guys to then sort of take it down a different journey, which I think, you know, we got there in the end of it, and it's turned out to be a big one.
Yeah, Finish What I Started, I think, kind of takes the title as the song that's had the longest journey, because Dan, you were just saying you reckon
the longest journey, I think, of any song we've ever made.
Yeah. Anyone's ever made, probably.
Ever. Felt that way at times. I mean, so I remember you guys writing this on tour in Germany somewhere.
Yeah, I remember being in Germany.
And we were touring Night People in like 2017. So I mean, that says it all as far as I'm concerned. And we're now 2021 and the song's only just coming out.
Yeah. It was almost one of those ones, I think we'd written it and other people were saying to us, we like the demo, and we were a bit like unsure about it for quite a while. And I think it's because, you know, after having the song and hearing a song for so long, sometimes it's difficult to really see it for what it is. It's like, you know, with, as we would say, fresh ears. And I think it's nice that we finally got to a point where it's made it, we're happy with it. I think it's actually got a great message. It's got great energy to it, and it fits not only lyrically, but it also sort of musically does fit with the rest of this record. And it was almost like, well, if it's not going on this one, it's going in the bin. Yeah. So I think it's quite nice that it's finally seen the light of day.
To add to kind of what Dan was saying, like, I feel like I'm kind of glad this song hasn't come out till now, because I actually think the message that I'm putting across in it also is so raw and so, like, it's probably the most vulnerable I've allowed myself to be on a song, talking about, you know, a pretty intense situation and mindset. I think that even, you know, this song was ready and could have been put on 6, you know, and I don't think if I would have been able to not understanding my feelings both retrospectively but also now, I wouldn't be able to talk about the song in the way that I can do now. So I think, you know, sometimes I'm not religious in the slightest, but I definitely am, you know, spiritual tendencies, and I feel like the universe kind of maybe played its role in just kind of keeping this one on ice until we were ready for the world to hear it in the way it is, you know. So, but yeah, definitely an important song, I think, because it definitely is talking about something that, you know, is so ever present in society regardless, but has obviously also does have in 2021 right now, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are feeling the way this song is and what this song is talking about, you know. So it's, you know, I like the fact it comes from a very sort of place of solemn and kind of like of kind of deep sadness, but actually I feel quite hopeful when I listen to it, and I feel like I'm part of something, and I hope that other people find themselves in this song a little bit, you know, and feel liberated of their demons in that sense. So I'm excited to see what kind of life, if any, that song has. But I think Sucker Punch was the perfect record for it to find a home on, for sure.
There you go.
That's handy, isn't it?
That it is handy, some would say.
It didn't waste a song, so it's fine.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a good tune. I'm glad we didn't waste it.
I think it should also be one that our fans will really like as well. I think it's got like elements of everything that we've done for our career in this song.
I can hear every album in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same. That's a good point. Yeah, I can hear everything we've tried to do before, just done in a way that makes sense now. Speaking of songs that don't really make much sense, What's It Like is the song that ends the album. And I remember, Dan, you playing this song to us. You know, it has a similar kind of backstory in terms of it was recorded, you know, there or thereabouts, 2018? Originally in, well, no, not originally. We didn't record the song in time, did we? It was done. It came out as
we recorded it in Vader, and we'd sort of had it a little while, and it was whether or not it was going to be a standalone track or make it onto an album, and I think it felt like it sort of fit this album, so it's gone on there.
I think the bravery of the song and sort of the uniqueness of the song kind of, in my opinion, set was a catalyst and set the tone for the record and like, what the spirit of the record should be, which is we're doing this unapologetically, and it's going to be a journey which, you know, we might lose a few people on it, but we might gain a few people on it. And I think as long as we kind of our integrity is intact by doing something that, you know, is like true to ourselves. And like I remember like hearing this song and being like, this song fucking freaks me out. Like that's what I want to hear when we're making music. I want songs that I go, fuck, what is going on in this song? What the hell do we do to it? And you know, even to like when we dropped it, I remember playing it the first time we ever played it live was in like Moscow in Russia. I remember like doing a sound check, being like, damn, this song sounds so fucking heavy like live, because it's actually got guitars in it. Because it's got no guitars on it on the record, really, has it? You know, like not where we position it in a live format. So yeah, I think the spirit of this song just kind of lives within every single track on the record.
And Reading and Leeds, it went down amazingly, and then at the Gunnersville show as well, it went down really well. I think we were sort of taken aback by sort of, because it's one of those ones where if you know the song or you don't know the song, when it drops to that chorus, doesn't matter. You're just going to push the person next to you and you're going to enjoy the time that you're having, kind of thing. So, and it went off live, and it kind of fits in with nice to me a little bit what we were saying about like the Matrix and movie soundtrack, because I don't know if you guys remember.
I was just about to say this.
the way that I presented it to you at the start was sort of like I had the track, and remember I'd pull up the laptop and I would play you the part of The Hangover where they were driving into Vegas, and you know, it goes from daytime to nighttime, and then as it turns to nighttime, and you've got that Kanye West song, you go, nah, 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 wait till I get my money, right? And it sort of drops, and then sort of the track speeds up, and they're in nighttime, and they drive into Vegas. I remember playing you the piano intro, and then obviously the drop comes in there as they get to Vegas, and that was how I sort of presented this idea to you guys. I remember, and it was like, I'm going to play this track, but you've got to watch this at the same time that I do it, kind of thing. It just like set the whole tone.
I respect that. Sat down, you gave us a little presentation.
Beautiful.
But we've always sort of pushed boundaries on every single album. We've always been a bit like, oh, we're going to like dip into that sort of genre a little bit, that sort of genre a little bit. And what's it like? Because us just being like, well, fuck it. If you don't mind us doing those little bits, what do you think of this? And I think it led the fans to think, shit, what the hell are they up to? And what is the next album going to sound like?
But I think that bravery of doing something so different really helped the rest of these songs come together. For me, the minute this song was done in that studio session at Vader before the Take Off Your Colours and Six tour, it gave me confidence to be like, there's a purpose and there's a direction now to make a record through everything. It just set the tone and the benchmark of this is where we are, and we've got to go as hard as this and take as many risks as we can.
It was so exciting. It's the little like riff, isn't it? Like the little sort of. Yeah. That was literally. I heard that and I was like, yeah. This is it. This has to be a change. And Franceschi was like, yeah, get me in the booth. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's cool.
I also think lyrically as well, it kind of ties off the record as well, with this song being at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a proverbial sort of fuck you in a way, cause it's like, yeah, I mean, there's lots of like hidden messages in that song. If you dig deep enough, you can find them. But like, it's yeah, I just loved like the kind of like how unapologetic that song is, and it's kind of it's the perfect way to round off a record that I think, you know, we'll all look back on as like, this is kind of like me and Max and I did an interview the other day with a fellow, and he was just like, oh, did you know that album 7 has played like quite a poignant role in lots of bands' careers as like the record that they kind of like rediscover their mojo and their sound. And he was like reeling off all these bands on their 7th album they'd made this record. And it's just kind of interesting that like, I feel like very much like that for Sucker Punch. I feel like we've made a record that will shape our future, you know, so I'm really excited to get it out there and people to hear it.